Okay.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we're gonna skip the making of The Color Purple. You made The Color Purple. It was fabulous. You were fabulous. Got nominated for
No,
an
so
Oscar.
here's what happened. We're close to the end of the run, and I'm going back to California. I now have an agent and a manager and everything. And my manager, Sandy Gallant, says to me, Steven Spielberg wants to meet you. He's in California, so he can't come see the show, but he would like to meet you. So I'm like, hell yeah. I want to be in, Indiana Jones. I want to be in all those movies. I want to be in Bleety. So, yes, I'll tell you about Bleety. So, in all of those things that I wrote, remember I told you I kept writing stuff, so I wrote a lot of stuff, and including something called Bleety, which factors into what I'm going to tell you. So they arrange it, and when I go back to California, I am now to go to Universal, to an actual studio. So I say, I get there and have to drive, and you drive to the back where Amblin had just opened. He had just opened it. And I go in it, and I'm kind of like, what is going on? What is happening here? And there he is. There is the man who shot Duel. There's the man who did, that crazy thing on Night Gallery with what's her name, with Joan Crawford, where she's the blind lady. I mean, him. And he comes over and he says, hi, and I went, hi. And he said, so I want to ask you, come into my office, he said, do you think you could do your show here? Because we have a little stage here, a little theater here. Because I'm making The Color Purple, and everyone says I should see your show, so I'd like to see the show, because I think you might fit in with this. And I was like, okay. You want me to do my show? So yeah, okay. So I go back to all the adults, and I said, well, he wants me to do my show there in 2 days. And he said, okay, look. Do your show. Do not do Bleety. Okay, do not do that. Because it's sacred to him. You cannot know Bleety. I said, okay, I'm not going to do Bleety. Then they say, you can't do this one, and you can't. I said, okay, I'm just going to do the Broadway show. That's what he's expecting. Okay. So now comes the day, and I go back, and I'm, the stage is not very deep there. It's just kind of from maybe here to there. And so now I'm trying to look out the curtain, and I'm looking at that thing. Is that Michael Jackson? Oh my God, it's Michael Jackson. Quincy Jones, oh shit, it's Quincy Jones. I'm back there by myself. Just going, I gotta ask for the Simpson. Oh my God. And there were all these people, and I thought, oh well. Oh well. I'm never going to be in The Color Purple, but I'm going to do my show. So I come out and do my show. They laugh. They have a great time. They say more. They scream more. They say, do you have anything else? Is there? I said, well, yes and no. They told me not to do this because they feel that I might be insulting you with this. And he says, with what? I said, well, I wrote a piece called Bleety about E.T., if he were black, landing in Oakland, where stuff doesn't work, and he has to go into the projects with the kids who find him, and he can't really call home because there's no phone. He says, I want to see it. I said, oh my God. So I do it, and he is laughing like that ha-ha from your belly laugh, and I'm flying because it wasn't a bad thing. It was, I tell the story, these kids find this alien guy, and they take him home to the projects, and, he can't really phone home because none of the phones work, but he starts to, assimilate with the kids and the family sees them. So, one of the guys that lives next door to them is a pimp, and he takes E.T. under his wing, and next thing you know, E.T. is wearing a jerry curl, and he's got on pimp shoes, and he's carrying a big piece, and his people come to get him, but he doesn't recognize them, so he takes his gun and he mows them down because he doesn't recognize his people. And I say, and the moral of this story is that sometimes assimilation is not the best thing that we can do because we lose ourselves. So then he's like, and then it was silence. And I thought, I am so fucked right now. I'm so fucked right now. And I come back out and I kind of go, that's it. I don't have any more. And I realized that they're not angry with me. They really, he was very moved that I would take that piece and make it about aliens and assimilation and all of the things that he said, does stuff just go on in your head? I said, well, yeah, but I like movies. I'm a visualist, so visuals, which is why I love his stuff, because it's all visual for me. So if you give me movie references, I can take it to wherever I need to go. So we had a great talk, and then he brought me in the next day. He said, so this is what's happening. I'm going to make The Color Purple. Quincy Jones is going to produce it. And I want you to be in it. I'd like you to play Celie. And I said, no, I don't think that's a good idea.
Why
And that's what he did. But because now I think we're friends, he and I. So I'm just talking to him like I talk to anybody. Because I liked Sophia's character better. Because she wasn't called ugly. And so some of those things in the book were resonant, because if met lots of different people, and you think you're cute and some guy tells you look like a dog, you don't want to hear that, no matter what age you are. So I think for me, it was like Sophia is easier for me to do. So he said, Sophia. I said, yeah. He said, no, I have a young lady that I'm looking at, that Quincy introduced me to from Chicago. Her name is Oprah. And she's the lady I think I want to put in that part. But tell me why you wouldn't want... So I explained what I just said to you. And he said, well, I think you would understand her. So I would like you to do... And then I said to him, but what if I suck? Again, with the what if I suck. And he said, have you sucked before? And I said, yes. He said, well, if you suck again, we'll just do it one more time. I said, what do you mean? Because I thought you made movies the way you do theater. I thought you shot it all in a day. I didn't know.
You didn't know about a second take?
No, I didn't know. I had no idea how movies were made, because I only went to see them. I knew nothing about them. Color Purple for me was a huge learning curve. Huge learning curve. I mean, the first day we were on, Alan Davio was our lighting designer. And I'm sitting in the juke joint, and I have on that black hat that Celie has on, and I'm looking around, and I'm looking, and I see this sort of small potted plant on the table, and I look, and one of the guys comes over and says, that's your light. I said, there's a light in there? He's like, yeah. He says, you want to see it? I was like, yeah. And he said, look. I said, and that's getting me. That's my light. He said, that's your light. He said, and that's your light, and that's your light. And you should always have warm colors on a light for you, because, it softens your face. He said, because you make faces when you talk. I said, I do? He said, yeah. He said, I think you do it to keep me from seeing you. I said, oh, maybe. He said, because I don't ever stay in character. I go in, I go out, because I don't want them living in my head. And so he would see me rehearsing stuff, and I'd be doing stuff with my face. So he lit it so that the color smoothed me out and just made me like that. And he said, this is how you look. And he showed it to me, and I thought, oh, I want this sort of orange light everywhere. That's very nice, I thought, very nice. And so then I hear, last looks, and I think, what's happened? Someone died? Because that's what last looks are, right? You go see. So I have no idea what the fuck's happening. I have no idea what's happening. But I then see Stephen come in, and I look over, and he's behind the camera. And I thought, I'm making a movie with Steven Spielberg. Oh, this is not good. This is not good. And he says, action. And then Seeley showed up. So that's kind of how he and I worked. He would say, do you remember the moment just before Scout reveals who's behind the door? Boo. Before Scout reveals Boo Radley. Do you remember that look on her face when she's going over there and she's realizing that he's there? I say, yeah. He said, that's what I want.
So he knew to speak to you in like film.
In film, yeah, because we'd been talking about film. So he would, at what point he said, do you remember in Saturday Night Fever, when John Travolta goes into the club and he realizes that he owns everything, that he's the big bad dancer. I said, yeah. He said, I want that now. And it's when I have on that crazy fur in the back of the car. I think it might be one of the last things I say. I may be old, I may be something, I may be black, but I'm here. Yeah. That's what he asked for in there. So all of it to give me the feel of what he wanted was that's how he did it. So it's all shot, it's all done. I had no idea, those sunflowers. So we're in Georgia, and there's a street, and we have several scenes to shoot on the street. So the first part of the day, it's all of that Georgia clay, and then the next part of the day, it's a road. And one day there's a thing full of purple flowers, and then 2 hours later, it's sunflowers. And the greens guys would just come in and move. Is that how they do that? That's how this... Because I had no idea that you shoot out of sequence, and it's not, you don't have to know everything in one time, because I was trying to memorize it like a play. And they were like, no, we're just shooting this part today of this. And I was like, well, why do we have all these people? What are they doing? What happens? And then I that was my education.
So you learned film acting and film production on The Color Purple?
Yes. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So then you get nominated for an Oscar?
Yes.
What was that like?
Well, I didn't get nominated first. We got a lot of shit first. We got a lot of shit from people. We got a lot of shit from a lot of folks at the NAACP.
Yeah.
How dare Steven Spielberg direct this movie? Yeah. How dare Spike Lee? How he doesn't know? And then how dare she write this book about black men? And who does she think she? I mean, it was like a whole thing. Nothing but black people in the movie. No, there's maybe 3 white people. But it pretty much is all black people in the movie, and people are bitching about how dare he.
So what was that like for you?
I was really pissed off. I thought, well, why didn't you make the movie? John, Spike, Luke and Jesus. Why didn't y'all make the movie? He wanted to make the movie. He made the movie. So there was all of that, which then got us nominated. We got us nominated for 12 Oscars, 12 Oscar nominations. And we got not one. Because the NAACP made such a stink about this film. They told people, don't go see it, boycott it, blah, blah, blah. But people couldn't boycott it because so many people had read it, they wanted to see it. Then people were mad that we didn't make the book exactly. But it's like, that's 1984. Nobody was going to let me and Suge make out. They just weren't. One kiss is all you get. We didn't really talk about the fact that she was a lesbian. We didn't talk about it because, 84, we could say the word lesbian. Remember, you couldn't say it in the children's hour. With Shirley MacLaine and Audrey Hepburn, you couldn't say the word lesbian. But we could say, lesbian. Yeah, breathe it real quick and have a quick kiss. But we couldn't, he could not have made the movie, the book then. He just couldn't have. But he made a damn fine film. He made a really good film with really good people. And so we go to the Oscars, and I'm so excited because, I'd watched the Oscars. I had written many speeches, in my life. And so I go, and the carpet is there, and there are giant Oscars, and people are dressed really nice, and I broke out into crazy, weird hives. I got so sick that
The day of the Oscars.
that after it was done,
Oh, okay.
that Michael J. Fox had to take me to the hospital. Yeah, that's where I spent the evening after we'd lost everything. Yeah.
Wow.
And I he was so good to me. He was like, I said, would you go to the Oscars with me? He's like, sure. Okay, cool. So
he was your date?
he was my date for the Oscars.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's kind of cool. And so yeah, this poor guy had to take me to the hospital because I broke out in some weird rash or some crazy shit. And I think it put a gag in the next big black movie that came out because it was a very long. I feel like it was a long time because nobody wanted to get told by the NAACP that they didn't do it right or that they had the power to boycott your movie and start some shit. So a lot of folks didn't get any work after that. Many people didn't get any work after that.
Did you personally sort of feel the after effect of that?
No, because I was still brand new. Everybody was still excited and rather shocked that the name was Whoopi Goldberg, and yet I could do all kinds of stuff. And the other thing that was marvelous about that movie was Steven said, so we're giving you this this thing that you get. You only get it one time. I said, oh, I've heard about this. He said, you have? I said, yeah. Paul Simon told me. He said, no, this is the movie. So you only get an introducing one time.
As your screen credit.
As your screen credit.
Yeah.
And so they did all the stuff, and then it's an introducing Whoopi Goldberg. Now, come on.
Yeah.
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 And that, was a pretty straight piece of work, Color Purple, and then I did, I think, Jumpin' Jack Flash, which I really had a good time on, and most everything that I've done since was written for other people, like Sister Act was put together for Bette Midler, Jumpin' Jack Flash was written for Shelley Long, Burglar was Bruce Willis. Color Purple was for me. He wrote that Mello wrote that for me.
But yeah, you wound up playing a lot of roles that were for people of other races or genders,
Oh yeah.
which I think is really interesting.
Well, I'm an actor. That's my job.
Yeah.
I should be able to do all of that.
Yeah.
That's what I'm supposed to be able to do. I'm supposed to be able to make you forget what you're looking at and take you into someplace else.
That was your first experience going to the
Yes.
Oscars. So I'm being told, let's get to fast forward your first time hosting the Oscars.
Yes.
So the first time is 94.
Sure.
Okay. So first of all, it's a lot of big firsts, right?
Yes.
First black person to host the Oscars, first woman to host the Oscars.
Yes.
I mean, there's a lot going on there. So how much of that are you bringing with you to that experience?
None.
None.
No. It's a gig. I'm going to do a job. You know, a great job, but I'm going to do a gig. You know, and there are people
So the
who are
historic
writing.
implications for you-
Was not, it didn't, you know, wasn't in my head. Wasn't in my head. So no, the historic implication had already been had because from Hattie McDaniel to me was almost 70 years. Almost.
Right.
Now, not Hattie McDaniel to
Sydney
Sydney,
Poitier. Yeah.
but Hattie McDaniel to me as a winning person. So that was the big historic for me. So coming to do it, I thought was smart, and I think Billy helped facilitate all of that.
Talk about that. Talk about. So Billy Crystal had hosted the Oscars for what, like 8 years in
Yeah.
a row up to that point, and
I
obviously
think so.
you and he had a nice relationship from
Oh
comic
yeah,
relief.
yeah. Well, Billy, Robin, and I, you know, the three of us, they were like my big brothers. So anything that happened, whether I was getting married to somebody, or they were like, "She's getting married again." They would call each other and talk. So when it was announced that I was going to do it, they were like, "Now you know how to do these things. Okay, I know you can do this." What I didn't know was they would. So the night of the show, I get to my dressing room, and it is filled with flowers that they have sent. And the two of them, like two old yentas, are on the phone talking about, "Did you see what she did? Did you see what she did? She's funny. She's funny. Whoop. Back. Okay. You're good. Are you watching this? Oh my God, she's got..." Yeah. And I had the best time because there's a great lady called Susan Futterman who used to be the person who was the ABC
Standards and practice.
standards and practices.
Yeah.
And she and I became friends. She had been on something else, but I was aware of her. But I think that's the same year of Wind Beneath My Wings. Is that when?
The Bette Midler song from Beaches.
Beaches? Yeah. I can't, because there are some years that really crazy, wonderful things happen. So there was some dance number, and I feel like it was Wind Beneath. I feel like it was Wind Beneath My Wings because I end up talking about wind coming from somewhere else. I feel,
Oh, right.
I feel like it's beaches related or something. Somehow I connected it to beaches. And then I was, all kinds of wonderful and strange things happened. It was also, I think it was the longest to date. I believe it's the longest Oscar. But it was
That and the
fun.
Most Ninas. Those are two great distinctions.
Well, you know, now everybody's all freaked out when it takes too long. But see, if it's boring, it's no fun. But we had, you know, Wind Beneath My Butt, and then there was all kinds of other stuff, or, you know, or maybe that's the second time I did it. I don't remember. The second time I did it, I changed clothes,
Yeah.
you know, and then the third time I did it, I came out as Elizabeth,
Yes.
Queen Elizabeth, you know. So I've just had nothing but fun with it. And, you know, and all you ever hear from critics and stuff is, oh, it was so long, it was so boring. It was, you know, was she doing whiteface? Was she making a comment? It's like, no, fucker, didn't you see the movie? I'm in Elizabethan wear. How would you ask if I'm doing whiteface? What the hell? You know?
They cut to Judi Dench. You mean, you think it should have been pretty clear.
Well, but it wasn't Judy. It wasn't Judi Dench. It was was it Kate Blanchett? Is she the one that did it?
Right.
Yeah, because that's when and we were mimicking and that's why it's always important, I feel, to have somebody who knows movie history, because I was doing Betty Davis's Queen Elizabeth.
Oh.
Okay, because Betty Davis goes into the white face, that white powder, and I was kind of appalled that they didn't get it, you know, and they didn't understand the reference, which I will never understand. So there's one point where I am mimicking Beloved, and I'm because I was in all the costumes, and I'm in the Beloved costume, which was a slave costume. And I come out and I say some line from the movie, and then I whip out my hand, which has a giant Harry Winston diamond on it. And I said, I will never be hungry again. You know, just having fun. But, you know.
Now talk about sort of absent the reaction. Talk about the process. Like, you wrote a lot of that with Bruce Vilanch, right?
Yeah.
Talk about just the process of crafting all of these ideas and these bits, because that's the stuff that nobody ever gets to really hear about or see, is like what it takes to put together what a host does for an Oscar telecast.
Well, because they don't do that anymore. They don't do it that way anymore, you know. Look, Bruce is a movie aficionado, as am I. And the kid that took over from Bruce, fortunately, is also Dave, is also a movie aficionado, but he doesn't get used that way. So Bruce said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I don't want to do what Billy does. So I want to make it different." So he and I talked about some stuff, talked about the movies that were nominated and why, and that became the opening thing, because the key that Billy Crystal gave me to making it all flow is the first 4 minutes are yours as the host. After that, it is about the people who want to know if they won. They want to know if they won, and it ain't about you. So as long as you remember that, you will have the greatest time. And that's what I did. He said, you're there to move stuff along, you're there to fill, because apparently people don't know how to just sit for a second, and they have to have something in their face. So, and you're there to get them through this process.
Yeah.
And that's what we did. That's what we did. We made references to all the movies that were happening. We made references to the actors, and, you know, we made it about the movies, because that's what it is, you know. And yeah, you know, we had that first year, we had the dance numbers, and then we had all the musical breaks, and then we had, you know, all of the president of the Academy came out. There was lots that went on that went into that 3.5 hour show, but you knew it was going to be 3.5 hours. You knew it. But now, you know, and for me, all of those moments at the Oscars were there for, in my mind, for two reasons. One, because when you're nominated for an Oscar, that's the pinnacle. You can't get any higher. There is nothing higher than the Oscar. You know, everybody wants an Oscar. So all those people
I can feel the guy from the Motion Picture Academy behind me smiling right now.
Well, because he, you know, Patrick knows, you know, because I'm very vocal about this. But all of those arts and sciences, the sound department, the lighting, the DP, the wardrobe, the hair and makeup, the animators, the people who do your sets, all of those people, their whole lives, they're hoping, because it's a very limited amount of people who get nominated for Oscars. Every year it's a finite amount of people. All of those people have been watching this show since they were kids. And they all want that second, when they know they've won, to get up and hoist that Oscar on television. And all of those arts and sciences that people don't know about, you got little tiny lessons because you saw little film clips and you understood what sound did and what design did and what it means if you don't have that. You understood that in all of that. And to me, that's what that telecast is. That telecast is to tell the world, I did it. I did it. The other thing is to remind people that what we are celebrating truly is excellence. That's what it is. And it's not, we're not the fucking Grammys. We're not the Golden Globes. We are the Oscars. And that, there, you can't win anything higher than an Oscar. All you can do is win more. You know what I mean? All you can do is win more Oscars. That's the beauty of that show. And for me, that's what's gone. That's what's gone. You will never have another moment like you had. What was the man's name? It's not Spanky McFarlane. Who is the man that did all of those?
Hal Roach.
Hal Roach. Do you remember that Hal Roach moment?
Yes, I do.
And you know why it was magical? Because Billy knew what Hal Roach did. He knew enough to say, hey, you know, silent pictures.
Right, because Hal Roach got up and started speaking.
Just started speaking, and he wasn't mic'd. You don't have anybody who can do that now.
Yeah.
No, that's not true. I'll take that back. There probably are people who could do that now, but they're not the people that you're getting as hosts. You're getting people who have, and listen, I love all the folks who have done it. I love all the folks who have done it. But until you bring back someone who loves the movies and understands what this thing is, you know, it's all going to be, let's go next door and watch people watch another movie. Or, you know, let's, you know, have two people who just really shouldn't be on stage together hosting the show together. You know, or let's take a selfie in the middle of the show. I mean, that's not what we do. That's not what this is. And, you know, they don't, you know, we don't celebrate certain things anymore because they're trying to, you know, make it more interesting for people. But that's, you know, it's not supposed to be interesting for people. It's really supposed to be interesting for the people who do what we do, and we're celebrating them. And y'all wanted to see it because there's a lot of movie stars there. But if you're going to do that, then you got to watch the boring shit. I'm sorry. The shit that you don't understand, you know? So that's what happened at the Oscars. And I've never done it again. I think I've done it 4 times.
Yeah,
4
that's right.
times. You know what, Patrick?
4 times.
4 times. All right.
All right, there's a few, since this is also the Television Academy, there's a few things that I'd really love to hit if you...
Hit me with them.
All right.
We'll do a speed round.
Okay. Well,
Okay.
look, one of the big things for me, and since we've touched on some of the people that I think would elicit, you know, I think great stories, is comic relief.
Ah, yes. Yes,
So
yes.
talk about that first comic relief in '86. This is you fresh off of Color Purple for those sort of trying to, you know,
Jump around.
follow the timeline here. So you've done your one-woman show.
Yeah,
It's been
yeah.
on HBO. You've
Yeah.
done The Color Purple. You've been nominated for an Oscar. Now in '86, you, Billy, Robin, comic relief.
So I get a phone call saying, HBO's trying to put something together, and they want to know if you're interested in working with Billy Crystal and Robin Williams. I was like, yeah. I think that could be interesting. Yes, I would like to do that. But yeah. So we come together, and it's like, hello. And Robin goes, I know you. I said, yes. He said, how you doing? Blah, blah, blah.
He remembered you from San Diego.
Yeah, because we spent a lot of time. We worked a lot together. But I hadn't seen him since, and, you know, I'm very antisocial, so I don't go out much. So I didn't see folks around. But Billy I had loved forever because he did one of the greatest bits I'd ever seen. And it's him, and a bowl of potato chips. And he talks, and he says, okay, it's Victor Mature. He's doing Victor Mature. So Victor Mature is walking through the jungle. So he's crunching the potato chips, so it sounds like Victor Mature is walking. And he does this whole thing, and it's just wonderful. It's just a great piece. And so now I want to say to him, I really love that thing that you did with Victor Mature, and I loved you on Soap, and I loved you in, Rapid Test, and I loved everything. But I can't say anything. So I'm just standing there like this. Just kind of. And he says, are you okay? I was like, he says, are you nervous? I go. He says, are you nervous about Robin? I go. He says, are you nervous about me? And then he goes, ah! And he says, you better? I said, yes, yeah. And
Now, you'd always had a character to play up till this point, right? You hadn't really done anything like...
As me?
Yeah, so what was that like for you?
It was just another character.
Really?
Yeah, because Whoopi's a character. That's who I am when I go outside. I go outside and don't have to be Whoopi. I never have to be Karen if I don't want to.
So that's who Whoopi is. Whoopi's a character.
Whoopi is a character. So Whoopi was fine. Whoopi was fine. It was the craziness of Billy, Robin, and I all believing that we would raise so much money that we'd get rid of it. We'd eradicate homelessness. Because we all believed that, if we banded together, we could do it. And we raised a lot of money over the years. So they say, we want you to meet all these folks in Washington and come down and talk about homelessness and the people you've met at the House of Ruth and all the stuff you're doing. And we say, okay. So now we're on the plane, and I don't like to fly, but it was Billy Robin, and I couldn't very well go, I'm not getting on the plane, so I got on the plane. And so we're flying along, and the producers say, now look, you three. We're going to be meeting with a lot of people, one of them being Ted Kennedy. So get all the jokes out now. Baby. It was joke after joke after joke after joke after joke. They say, you done? Everybody says, yes, we're done, yeah. So now we go and meet Teddy, and he's wonderful, he's marvelous, talks about his brother, talks about all the stuff he's been trying to do and does all this stuff. And so now we have to drive to the Hill. And somebody says, okay, you take Billy, and somebody else says, oh, and you take Robin, and Teddy says, I'll drive Whoopi. Dead silence. Everybody goes, so.
You didn't do the joke, did you?
We froze. The three of us froze because the joke was right here on just we were all trying to swallow back everything that we wanted, So I say, okay, sure. This'll be, yeah, sure, it'd be great, yeah. So Billy leaves and he does this. Fucker. And Robin goes by and goes, just, you know, walking with Ted Kennedy to the car. And get in the car, and we go, and we're driving. And this is why I absolutely loved this man. He says, we're not passing any water.
So he knew.
Of course he knew. We're comics. Of course he knew. And I said, what? What do you mean? What do you mean? Yeah. Yeah. And I'm telling you, it was 25 minutes of Ted Kennedy jokes. 25 minutes of, you know, we are in our sphere. And as most comics are, we are irreverent. We just are, you know. And there are times when we as comics have gone too far. But the three of us knew enough. And they knew to protect us that way so that it wouldn't be a surprise. So it was good. So that's what happened. It was funny as fuck, though. It was a funny ride. That ride was funny as hell. Woo! Terrible. I know, right? But it was extraordinary. It was a great time. I mean, it was a great time. I miss Robin so much.
Well, one of the really extraordinary moments that you had here at The View was when you had Billy on.
Yeah, right after.
Right after. Do you want to talk about that? 'Cause
I don't think I could. I don't think I can.
okay.
It's still very, you know, for me, you know, my mom Robin's been gone
4 years.
4 years.
Yeah.
So my mom went the year before. So Robin had sent me flowers, and she's okay, yeah, okay. Billy took care of me. And then was it 4 years for Robin?
Yeah.
Fuck. Yes, it must be because my brother's. No? Yes. My brother's the one who called me and said, have you heard this thing? And I said, what thing? I said, no, it's not true. It can't be true. So, yeah. And then my brother had gone right after Robin. Or a year after Robin. I can't even remember. It was a whole bunch of loss. And I just wasn't, you know, I wasn't quite ready for it. And, you know, and then Mike went. It was just, so I can't. That's why things like that stop me when something has happened like that. I have to get myself together. Not because I knew them, but because I just think, you know. But it's going to happen to all of us, so I suppose I can't get stopped every time, but yeah, it's still very hard, because I miss him. I miss him terribly, you know.
Well, I mean, just that love of that the three of you shared was palpable for 20 years of Comic Relief, which is a big part of why I wanted to just touch on.
Yeah.
All right, a few other things. TV. So you're like at the sort of the top of the heap. You've got your Oscar, you've been hosting the Oscars, you've done Sister Act, which, you know, I think we'll have to touch on as well. But in the middle of all of that, you decide to reboot the Hollywood Squares as a producer and as the center square.
Yeah.
First of all, was this a show that you knew and loved and watched before that?
I'd watched it, but I always loved game shows. And so when the King brothers said, we're interested in you becoming a producer and doing this with us, I said, sure. And it was syndicated, and I thought, okay, I can make a little money here. You know, in 7 years, you make some money. Yeah. And then they cut me loose in the 6th year.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. The king.
Any sort of memories or reflections on being that, you know, all-important anchor that was the Center Square?
Listen, we had the greatest time. We had the greatest food. We had the greatest time. We had the greatest host. Crazy, wonderful stuff happened. Everybody and their mother wanted to come and play with us. You know, do you know Vern
Troyer?
Troyer?
Sure.
So we had, what's his name? Everybody Loves Raymond, the brother.
Brad Garrett.
So we have Brad Garrett on.
Oh my God. And Vern Troyer. Mini me.
You know this story? Have you heard this story?
You
Okay.
go. You go.
So they introduce, hi, what's good? Hi, sorry, so-and-so, and so-and-so comes out and waves, and so-and-so comes out and waves. And Brad Garrett comes out carrying Vern Troyer, and he says, I'd like to thank the Academy. Okay?
That's strong.
It was one of those things where you just had to, it would now be called a drop the mic moment, but where you were screwed for the rest of the day. Because every time you looked at him or you looked at Vern, you'd start laughing. You know, we had Penn and Teller on one time, and for some reason, because we shot, one of the reasons I love doing it is because we shot 5 shows a day on Saturday, 5 shows a day on Sunday. So we did 10 a weekend, which is great, man. It was the best. And so we would, people would have wine, we'd party, we'd have a good time, and it was a great time. A great time was had by all. And there are things that you have to do, like you have to, I feel, which is maybe why, no one's letting me do this anymore. But I feel like you gotta feed the people who are working for free for you. You gotta feed them. You gotta feed them well. You gotta have Spago cater. And that's what we did. And we did the same. He catered for not just the performers, but for the crew. Because if you're gonna do that to a crew, you gotta feed them. You gotta feed them. You gotta let them bring family. You gotta let them get autographed. You gotta do all of that. Because we would work on and on and on and on and on, and then we'd say, can we just finish this last one? Do we need to take another 45-minute break? And everybody goes, no, let's go home. So we do it, and we were out. Everybody has to be equal on it, to me, on the set. And so we tried to treat everybody really, really, really well. And, we had the greatest host. I mean, you watch Dance with the Stars. Tom Bergeron is like, he's fun. Yeah. So we just had a good time. And we had lots of great people. And, I mean, it's just, it's a show that should have lasted much longer than it did. But
no, it was just fun.
It was fun. Yeah. It was fun, and the obligation of the Center Square or any of the squares was to have a good time. Make people want to feel like they're going to come and party with you. But, the shocking, you get up in those squares, it's like there's no space in there. Mm-hmm. There's nothing. It's just like a little bench. It looks fabulous from outside, but it's like the shittiest little bench. Crappy little stuff. I mean, it was like, if you farted, everybody knew. You weren't in a square. You were just like, it looked like you were in a square, but all your business was right there. It was crazy. So
you
that
never
was
had like a vertigo
fun.
moment.
No, but we had like earthquake tremor. It's like, okay, we can't go anywhere. No one could move because it's like, hey, is that an earthquake? Did you just feel that? Hey, does anybody know if that was an earthquake? There's an earthquake. Why? Can we get out of here? It's like, no, you have to get us out of here, right? So is anybody going to help us? It was crazy. It was fun. And trying to do all the stuff for the affiliates and people's names that were like, Johnny and Jody, we're on right after you, and Petunia and Pukalo. And then it would be like, Petunia and Pukalo? The fuck is Petunia and Pukalo? And then there'd be 20 minutes on that. I mean, we just had a good time. We had a good time. The same with the Whoopi show. We had a really good time with that. But that began my demise, the Whoopi show.
What do you mean? How?
Well, because, I used to beat up that giant cutout of Bush. And apparently people got very upset, so that when I did a benefit, and they decided I was nasty about Bush. And I think they were actually thinking that I had beat him up on thing and talked horribly about him. But it cost me 5 years worth of work, because I got blackballed.
That's interesting. I don't remember that, but certainly it presages the whole Kathy Griffin.
Oh my God, yeah. No. They accused me of saying dirty, nasty stuff. I lost all the sponsors, and the show got canceled.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, look it up. And what's interesting is, here's what I actually said. I came out and I talked about John Edwards, and I said, I was thinking of running myself, but I was afraid because it turned your hair white, but you don't have any problem because your hair is white, so you'll be fine. John Edwards, I thought you were the guy that speaks to the dead, but if you become vice president, you will be the guy that speaks to the dead, because you'll be talking to Congress. And then I said, and I love Bush. I said, but somebody's giving it a bad name. So it's time to put Bush back where it belongs, and I don't mean the White House. Get out there and fucking vote. And from the time I walked from that to backstage, they said she was disgusting. AP. The AP wrote, I was disgusting and had been, disrespectful and all this stuff. And Unilever next day said, bye, bitch, you're done.
So you had sponsors bailing on you.
Oh yeah. NBC killed the show. Oh yeah, it was really something. Yeah.
All right. So then I find it really curious that you leap back into those waters when you come here to The View.
Listen, let me tell you, Barbara Walters saved my life. My family and I lived through all of my savings in those 5 years. I got a job on radio because nobody would hire me. And Barbara Walters had just lost Rosie O'Donnell and said, would you be interested in coming on and doing this for me? And I was like, yeah. Yes, I would. Yes, I would. Yeah. That's how that happened. Barbara Walters saved my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
What was it like working with her professionally?
Well, you didn't want to step in it very often, I mean, this is Barbara Walters. I mean, that's, you hear people talk about Mr. Television. That's Mrs. Television. I mean, she set up how female interviewers should be doing their job. She set that up for you. She taught you how to do that, She bashed that ceiling, boy. Her hands were all cut up from bashing that glass ceiling. But everybody wanted to be her. All these wonderful women that came out of the blue, all wanted to be Barbara Walters because of what she was able to do. That woman, that's a pioneer. Literally, that's a pioneer. Yeah. So I'm lucky that I talk for a living.
So now, what was it, a year or two ago, you had actually said that you were thinking of...
I was out.
Really,
I was tired. It's a lot.
So talk about making the decision to stay, why you decided to stay.
Well, because everybody said, really? Now you're leaving? We just had this election and you're leaving now? You know him. What you can't. And my daughter said, look, I know you're done, but maybe you do one more because I think you could probably help the dialogue. And I was like, no. I'm sick of people on Twitter. I'm sick of people on Facebook. I don't care what you like or don't like about me. I don't care, you know, because you're never gonna get it with me. You know, you're never gonna get, and I'm okay with it. I'm all right with it. Where I have the problems when y'all come walking up to me screaming in my face, and then I can't punch you out, you know, because you forgot you're not home and I'm not on the television. I'm standing in front of you and you're screaming at me. You know, so my attitude was, fuck everybody. And my kid said, please just wait one more year. And she said, who leaves at 9 anyway? You know, most people will do a full 10. It's my daughter.
So was it your daughter who swayed you?
Yeah, my daughter and a couple of other friends who said, no, really, I think you need to speak this, what's happening.
Now, you won't mention our current president by name.
No,
Why?
because I don't have the respect for him that I've had for a whole bunch of people I didn't agree with. But I always called them president. But anybody who comes in cutting us up, I don't like.
Yeah.
And this is also a person who, knowing, and I say that now, but knowing that he was lying when he said this man was not born in America, he knew that was a lie. He knew it was a lie, and he perpetuated it all the way up until the time he became and didn't disavow it. Well, now that seems like small potatoes, given everything else that's come down, you know. But no, I'm not. I can't, because I don't have that for him. I don't have that for him. But I'm never shitty about him.
No.
I mean, but I just say the new guy or the, you know.
No, it's noteworthy.
Well, you know, ABC gets a lot of mail about it.
Yeah, it's like you're taking a knee.
My God, you know. But see, you know what's crazy? I guess, you know, there was a guy. Who was the guy that was taking the knee every?
Colin Kaepernick?
No. Who first took the knee because he was so upset about abortions in the U.S. Tim Tebow.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Do you remember Tim Tebow used to take a knee because he was very upset that women were having abortions?
Mm.
And people got annoyed with him, but nobody accused him of being anti-country, you know. And also, just to put a little button on it, you know, the guys only started coming out during the national anthem in, can somebody look up the year? Because it wasn't always that way. Wasn't always that way. Do you remember what year it was? And that's because Washington wanted to make a sort of a deal.
Oh, I think it was during World War II, wasn't it?
No, this is more recent.
Having players come out.
During they used to run on to, remember they used to run out to the,
Players only started singing outside like the national anthem. It's like 2009.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
You know, and it was a business thing that they blended politics with you know, they wanted to see the planes going over and all of this stuff and all this. It was pageantry, you know. But, you know, so I understand a lot with the NFL owners. But if you got a whole bunch of black players tell you something's wrong and they're seeing it, and they respectfully, because they come from military families, are getting down and doing that, and you're the head of the free world, supposed to be the guy for all the people, and you can't say, hey, I totally get it, that's why I'm here, I want to make that change. I want to make it the country of everybody. Instead, this fucker says, well, you're not a real American now. I can't respect that.
Yeah. After you starred in Sister Act,
One? The first one?
the first one,
Okay.
you became one of the highest paid actors, in,
for one movie.
which was.
Sister Act 2. Sister Act 2. Yeah.
Can you sort of just take us to that moment for you in your career of what that sort of represented to you?
I thought it represented change, but it didn't.
Because it didn't last, or?
Yeah, it didn't last. And for some reason, it felt quite often that people felt more comfortable saying, "Hey, let's talk about this because it's there's another actor in this that maybe bigger or whatever, so we feel we should negotiate your."
Mm-hmm.
But that's that happens. Seems to happen still, but for one brief shining moment, I, like Camelot, was visible. For that moment.
So, look, one of the things, and these guys are all going to have to bear with me for the indulgence of this question, but one of the things that you've done in recent years that I thought was one of the truly, most impressive pieces of your work was the document about Moms Mabley.
Oh, yes.
I really wanted to talk about that. Do you
Okay.
mind?
Yeah, no, okay.
So talk about, first of all, who Moms Mabley was and what she meant to you, what inspired you to make this movie.
Well, Moms Mabley was when I was a kid, somebody I saw on the Smothers Brothers and someone I saw on all the shows, the daytime shows, the Merv Griffith show, and she told these really interesting jokes that I liked. And so a couple years ago, I got the Mark Twain Award. And I said to someone, how come there's not a Moms Mabley Award? There should be a Moms Mabley Award, because there's the American Comedy Awards, I think.
Yeah.
I don't know if it still exists.
Not for the last 3 or 4 years.
Well, that's
I went to the last one in 2014.
That's kind of sad.
Yeah.
I mean, because American comedy is like no other, So I just felt like, why isn't there, a Moms Mabley Award in the comedy awards? And so I said, yeah. And I'd done her from time to time through my career before I left Berkeley. I did a whole show about her and did all of her material, and I thought, well, I'll come back to Broadway and I'll do it on Broadway. And then I got lazy. It's like, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And then I decided I was going to kick it up again. And then I thought, well, if I do that, will people know who she is? And the answer was no. So I thought, well, what if I make a documentary? Because, people make documentaries. I'm going to make a documentary. Oh, what a schmuck. What a silly girl. So I crowdfunded some of it because I ran out of money. And I didn't realize how much people would charge to be able to use her work on the records and on television stuff. And then I went to Hugh Hefner, and I said, man, you have this great piece that has her. I'm doing this documentary. I know it's expensive, but is there anything, any way you can help me out here? Just a little bit, help me out. And he and I had been friends for many, many years. And he said, yeah, we can help you out. We're still waiting for the bill. He let us have that piece. He said, I love that you're making this. I love that you're making this shit. And I said to him, what was she like? And he said, she was the funniest person ever. He said, but her singing that song.
This was Abraham Martin and John.
Abraham Martin and John, and with Sammy Davis being in the audience. And you know who else is in the audience, my God? Paul Mooney is also in that.
No.
Yes, go back and look at that shot. He is sitting right on the side. Paul Mooney is sitting there.
I didn't know.
And talking about this woman who was quite out as a gay woman, dressed as a man, sent out postcards that said, Merry Christmas from Mr. Moms. I mean, it's like, and so I decided to I was going to do it with HBO. And we had a difference of opinion of what should be there. Because I wanted to put animation in it in lieu of things that we couldn't get. And so there was some question as to whether that would work and what a silly idea, and maybe no. And I said, well, I really think I think I should do it this way. Well, no, we feel you should be doing Moms maybe in the middle of the thing. I said, why would I do her in the middle of showing her? That doesn't make any sense. So we went our separate ways. And so it was me having to find money to do it. But I did it. And then when they saw it ultimately, or subsequently, they said, we'd love to buy it, but at half the price. And I said, okay. Because it was more important, this is terrible because it's really egotistical. It was really important to me that they came back and said, yeah, we'll take it. Mm-hmm. Because some folks had kind of put out there that it probably wasn't going to be any good, wasn't going to be jack shit, and because, you know. And one of them called after she saw it, because she was working with somebody else that we had worked with. And the woman that I had been working with came and said, well, they want to see it. And I said, no, wait 3 weeks. Don't show it to them, wait 3 weeks. Wait 3 weeks. She said, can I show them now? I said, yeah, you show them now. So at 12:45, my phone rings that night after they saw it. And basically they said, you made it without us, you fucker. We didn't think you'd do it.
Must have made you feel pretty good.
Oh, honey. My head got this big. I couldn't even get in the room. I was because it wasn't about me. It was about her.
Yeah.
You know, and I wasn't going to put stuff in about her until I knew it for sure. Like I needed to know for sure that she was out and gay. Can't just do it as a rumor. Right. You needed to know, you know, and so we found all the corroboration for it. And then we, you know, found all the folks, you know, some folks were really pissed at her, really angry at her. Her sister-in-law was really mad at her. And her sister-in-law lasted until we got it in the can and just had finished it up and she passed away. But she wanted to make sure, because her husband, who was Mom's brother, had written all the material. And she was very upset because she felt Mom's never gave him the credit he deserved. So it's, you know, it's all kinds of stuff. But it was great because she did a couple of my favorite jokes that even in 1990 I couldn't do on the first American Comedy Awards. Moms did a joke. 2 old ladies walking down the street. No, is that the one? No. Oh, yes. 2 old ladies walking down the street. One turns to the other one and says, I smell hair burning. The other one said, maybe we're walking too fast. They're like, cut. No, you cannot tell that joke on television. I thought it was clean. I thought it was a great, clean joke. You couldn't tell that joke on television, and you couldn't tell this one, which is 2 guys in the house, you know, they're smoking those, you know, them cigarettes, them funny cigarettes, and they're smoking, and they hear bang, 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 open the door, it's the police. And one guy looks at the other one and says, what we gonna do, man? It's the police. He said, well, quick, hide this stuff. So they go around and they hide everything in them. Say, oh, I know where I'm gonna put it in the cuckoo clock. So he hides it in the cuckoo clock. And the police come in and they say, where's everything? We know you got stuff here. He said, no, look around, man, look around. He looked around and says, well, you can't find nothing. Well, we know you got it. He said, well, man, the cops are gone. Come on, go get the stuff. He said, I can't get the stuff to the cuckoos.
So they wait 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours. The door slowly opens on the cuckoo clock. And the cuckoo comes out and says, "Hey, man, what time is it?"
And you couldn't tell that joke either.
It was a drug joke.
It was a drug joke. And that was the quick version. They're much better if you go look them up on Moms on YouTube and stuff. They're much funnier.
It's like The Aristocrats. It's all in the telling.
Yeah, it's my favorite.
Yeah.
I'm very good in that, too.
Yes, you
Yes,
are.
I am.
Yes, you are.
Yes.
All right. Can you do a couple of summing up questions and then we'll let you go?
I do one summing up.
All right. Well, considering the journey that you've taken us on here, obviously you've kind of learned a little bit along the way. What advice would you give to young Whoopi or young Karen who is like looking at your career or a career in this business and wanting to start now? What would you tell that person?
I tell her what I tell everybody. If you can be an individual and you're okay with people not liking you, not everybody liking you, if you can take that, that's okay. If you can stand to say, this is what I believe now and I stand behind it, then you're fine. If you're more of a follower, you might want to take a slightly different path than I've taken. But if if you're okay to be you, go on be you. Who knows better than you who you are? Nobody. And that's what I know. So there.